If you want to understand why men become passive, stop listening to what they say and start watching what they risk. The moment there is no consequence, no tension, no edge to lose balance on, a man melts into furniture. He doesn't leave. He doesn't fight. He doesn't pursue. He reclines. And then he wonders why nothing excites him anymore. Here's the hook you weren't promised. Men don't become passive because they're tired, traumatized, or misunderstood. They become passive because the environment has made effort optional. When nothing is at stake, the nervous system powers down. Desire rots in comfort. Initiative suffocates in safety. And the man who once chased becomes a spectator to his own life, scrolling, procrastinating, and calling it peace. Watch how fast a man sharpens when risk returns. Watch how lazy he becomes when it disappears. This isn't philosophy. It's pattern recognition. Men are not motivated by comfort. They tolerate it. They endure it. They decay in it. Men are motivated by stakes. Remove the stakes, and you don't get kindness or stability. You get passivity dressed up as calm. You get men who respond late, plan nothing, escalate nothing, and call their indifference going with the flow. That phrase alone should tell you everything. Flow is what dead things do when pushed by water. Men become passive when there's no risk, because risk is the only language their attention respects. When a woman is guaranteed, effort becomes irrational. When attention is unconditional, initiative becomes wasteful. When access is free, investment feels foolish. This isn't cruelty. It's efficiency. Men conserve energy when outcomes are assured. They deploy energy when outcomes are uncertain. This is why men light up around women who might walk away. Not women who threaten. Not women who nag. Women who simply could leave and would not explain it. Risk sharpens perception. It forces presence. Without it, men drift. The modern world has engineered risk out of male-female dynamics and then acts surprised when men disengage. Unlimited access, endless chances, no real loss, no finality. Men adapt quickly. They learn that doing less costs nothing. So they do less. Men don't become passive overnight. They are trained into it. Reward a man for minimal effort, and you teach him minimal effort. Rescue boredom with stimulation, and you teach him boredom works. Stay when he withdraws, and you teach him withdrawal is safe. Then one day you look at him and wonder where the edge went. You sanded it down yourself. Men become passive when there's no risk, because risk forces identity. In uncertainty, a man has to decide who he is. Am I decisive or avoidant? Am I bold or cautious? Am I invested or indifferent? Without risk, those questions never arise. He floats. Floating feels peaceful until it feels empty. Then he looks for distraction and calls it depression. There's research that supports this, although again, watching men behave would have saved the grant money. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that motivation and engagement increase significantly when outcomes are contingent on effort and uncertainty is present. When rewards are guaranteed, participants show decreased initiative, slower response times, and reduced emotional investment. Remove contingency, and you remove drive. Men are not broken. They are responding exactly as designed. This is why men suddenly become energetic around competition, deadlines, or the possibility of loss. They don't hate pressure. They hate meaningless pressure. Risk gives pressure meaning. Without it, men stall. Now let's talk about women, because this is where things get uncomfortable and entertaining. Women who remove all risk from a man's access to them often believe they are creating safety, trust, and emotional openness. What they are actually creating is stagnation. Men do not open emotionally because they feel safe. They open emotionally when they feel something matters. Safety without stakes is sedation. A woman who is always available, endlessly understanding, and infinitely patient creates an environment where a man can delay indefinitely. Delay becomes habit. Habit becomes personality. Personality becomes passivity. Then she complains that he has no ambition. He does. It's just dormant. You put it to sleep. Men become passive when there's no risk, because risk creates urgency. Urgency creates action. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates desire. Take away risk, and you reverse the chain. Desire fades first. Then action. Then urgency. What remains is a man who exists but does not pursue. This is why men respect women who can leave without theatrics. Not because those women are cruel, but because they reintroduce consequence. Consequence is not punishment. It's clarity. Men thrive in clarity. They rot in ambiguity. Ambiguity allows men to linger, to hover, to half invest, to emotionally squat. Risk forces decision. Decide or lose access. Decide or be forgotten. Decide or watch the door close quietly. Men who are worth anything respond to that immediately. Men who aren't disappear. Both outcomes are efficient. There's a dark joke buried in all of this. Men complain about women who make them feel anxious, while simultaneously losing all interest in women who make them feel comfortable. Anxiety is not the enemy. Meaningless anxiety is. Risk-based anxiety sharpens. Comfort-based boredom dulls. Men become passive when there's no risk because their imagination shuts down. Risk fuels projection. What could happen? What might I lose? What could I gain? Without those questions, there is no internal movement. He becomes reactive instead of proactive. He waits to be entertained. He waits to be invited. He waits to be told. Then he calls himself laid back. Let's be precise. Passivity is not calm. It's avoidance with good posture. This is also why men suddenly change when a woman pulls back. They didn't change. The conditions did. Risk returned. The environment started asking something of them again. Men respect environments that demand something. They resent environments that infantilize them. And yes, women who understand this deserve credit. They are not heartless. They are strategic. They know that desire needs friction. They know that removing all resistance kills attraction. They don't chase. They don't plead. They don't over-explain. They let consequence do the talking. Simps hate this. Of course they do. Simps benefit from a world where men never have to risk anything, where access is unconditional and effort is optional, where men can remain passive and still be chosen. That world produces very polite men and very bored women. Men become passive when there's no risk, because passivity is rewarded. Stop rewarding it, and watch how fast behavior adjusts. Men are not confused. They are responsive. Now, somewhere around here, let me say this without ceremony. If you're trying to understand how to reintroduce risk without turning into a threat machine or a manipulator, that's exactly what one-on-one coaching is for. I offer it. It's pinned in the comments section. The benefit is not motivation. It's calibration. Knowing when to pull back without punishing. Knowing when to stay silent without performing indifference. Knowing how to let absence speak without sabotaging yourself. The landing page is done. It will be in the description and the pinned comment. Go there. Read the free PDF. Watch the free video. Subscribe to the newsletter. That's where I offer discounts for coaching orders. And that's where I say the things algorithms don't enjoy. This is what my weekly newsletter looks like. This is where I sometimes say things that YouTube doesn't let me say. I'll be sending 3 weekly, and make sure to check under promotions or spam folder for my emails. And yes, pre-order the courses called The Feminine Game. They drop May 30th. If you understand the theory but keep collapsing under discomfort, that course exists for a reason. Now let's continue, because this goes deeper and it gets less flattering. Men do not wake up one day and decide to become passive. Passivity is not a choice. It is a side effect. It grows in environments where nothing sharpens a man anymore, where nothing demands a decision, where nothing punishes delay. A man without risk becomes a man without posture. He slouches psychologically. He delays replies. He forgets. He keeps things vague. Vagueness is the uniform of men who are allowed to drift. Look closely at men who complain about losing their edge. They talk about burnout, about needing space, about being tired of expectations. What they never mention is how rarely anything is actually at stake for them. No one leaves. No one withdraws. No one closes the door. They are exhausted not from pressure, but from irrelevance disguised as freedom. This is why men grow passive in relationships long before they grow passive in work. Work has deadlines, metrics, replacement, loss. Relationships often have none of these. The modern romantic landscape has been turned into an all-you-can-eat buffet with no closing time. Men graze. Grazing requires no urgency. No urgency produces no action. A man who knows he can disappear and return without consequence will do exactly that. Not because he hates you, because the system taught him he could. Men learn fast. They repeat what works. They abandon what doesn't. Morality never enters the equation. The dangerous fantasy women cling to is that patience inspires devotion. Patience inspires entitlement. Devotion comes from investment, and investment only happens when delay threatens loss. Men do not invest where there is no risk of missing out. They sample. Sampling is not attachment. Sampling is boredom management. This is why men suddenly become animated when a woman pulls back without explanation. His nervous system registers threat. Threat wakes him up. His attention snaps into focus. He replays conversations. He wonders what he miscalculated. He feels something he hasn't felt in a while. Urgency, not love. Urgency always comes first. Men mistake urgency for passion because it feels alive. Comfort feels like death to the male psyche. That is why men sabotage peaceful relationships and chase chaos. Chaos at least demands something from them. Peace without stakes feels like being retired at 30. Women who understand this do not argue with men about effort. They do not negotiate desire. They do not workshop commitment. They let men feel the absence of access. Absence forces men to supply their own imagination. Imagination is where attachment grows. A woman who continues her life uninterrupted teaches a man something brutal. He is optional. Optional does not mean unimportant. It means not central. Men fight harder to be central than they ever do to be accommodated. This is why men become passive when there's no risk. Risk reminds them they are not the center of the universe. That reminder activates ambition. Without it, men regress into boys who wait to be entertained. There's a reason men respect women who can walk away quietly. Quiet exit is terrifying. Loud exit is cathartic. Quiet exit leaves no narrative to defend against. No villain to blame, just a vacuum. Men hate vacuums. Vacuums force introspection. Introspection is dangerous to ego. The simp, of course, will object here. He will say this creates anxiety, insecurity, instability. What he means is that it removes his leverage. Simps thrive in low-risk environments because they never intended to rise. They survive by making themselves useful, agreeable, and permanent. Permanent without demand is furniture. Men who rise respond to challenge. Men who sink demand reassurance. Now let's get uncomfortable in a different direction. Women who complain that men become passive often benefit from that passivity. Passive men do not leave. They do not challenge. They do not demand growth. They stagnate politely. Some women mistake this for loyalty. It is not loyalty. It is inertia. True loyalty requires risk. Risk of loss. Risk of effort. Risk of failure. Remove risk, and you remove the need for loyalty altogether. Men who are passive are not safe. They are undecided. Undecided men waste years. They drain energy. They linger. They consume attention without offering direction. They are not villains. They are byproducts. If you want to see a man's true capacity, introduce a boundary he cannot negotiate away. Watch what happens next. Does he adapt or disappear? Both answers are valuable. Only one is useful. This is where women sabotage themselves by explaining boundaries instead of enforcing them. Explanation soothes guilt. Enforcement creates reality. Men respect reality. They exploit explanation. The most seductive thing a woman can do to a man is remove herself as an option without announcing it. That act alone forces him to confront his own passivity. Some men will rise to meet it. Others will retreat into distraction and tell themselves it wasn't that serious. Again, efficiency. Men become passive when there's no risk, because risk is the only thing that interrupts fantasy. Fantasy is cheap. Reality is costly. Men delay reality as long as they are allowed to. This is also why men are allergic to women who need certainty early. Certainty removes the game before it begins. Men want to feel like they are earning something that could slip away. When the outcome is guaranteed, the process becomes tedious. A woman who understands leverage never rushes certainty. She lets uncertainty do its work. Uncertainty creates engagement. Engagement creates effort. Effort creates attachment. This is not manipulation. This is structure. Structure determines behavior. Remove structure, and you get chaos or apathy. Most men choose apathy. It's quieter. If this sounds cold, good. Reality is colder than fantasy, and far more reliable. Let me circle back to coaching briefly, because this is where theory collapses for most people. Knowing not to overextend is easy. Resisting the impulse in real time is not. One-on-one coaching trains restraint. It teaches you how to tolerate silence without filling it, how to observe instead of react, how to let men reveal themselves without interference. That is the benefit. Precision, not confidence, not hype. Precision. The link is pinned. The landing page is in the description. Read the free PDF. Watch the video. Subscribe to the newsletter if you want discounts on coaching orders and access to material that doesn't survive public platforms. And again, pre-order The Feminine Game. It will be released by May 30th. This is for women who are tired of being confused by patterns they keep repeating. Now, let's finish this cleanly. Men become passive when there's no risk because passivity works. It preserves access. It conserves energy. It avoids failure. Stop making it work and watch men change or leave. Both outcomes are victories. The men worth keeping will feel the shift and step forward. The men who were feeding on convenience will fade. Do not mourn them. They were never participating. They were occupying space. Men do not respect comfort. They respect consequence. If this video irritated you, subscribe. Irritation is a form of attention, and attention precedes insight. And comment. I want to know where you've seen this. When did removing risk make a man disappear? Or when did introducing it make him rise? Say it plainly. Patterns are easier to see when people stop lying about their experiences. Men become passive when there's no risk, because nothing is asking them to be more than they already are. And most men will never become more, unless something forces them to. Welcome to the dark side of your mind, an armory disguised as advice. Everything here exists to give you clarity sharper than the games being played against you. The reading is where I dissect your situation with precision. What he meant, what he didn't, what you missed. About 1,000 words, plus one follow-up question to tighten the strategy. The case file is the full autopsy, a complete psychological breakdown in writing, plus a private audio message so you hear the parts most people avoid. One follow-up to lock it in. If you want speed, there's the whisper. 400 words. Direct. Unfiltered. No extra dialogue. If you prefer tone and voice, the weight of the message itself, the transmission gives you a private audio response. No follow-up. No hand-holding. And if your situation is messy enough for multiple angles, buy 2 services, and the third is free. Strategy rewards commitment. If you want the truth delivered publicly, without exposing yourself, there's the public whisper. One question, one strategic answer, posted for others to learn from. Short, clean, no follow-up. You already know why you're here. You ask your question, and within 72 hours, you get clarity most people never develop. Emotional discipline, psychological leverage, the ability to stop repeating patterns that drain you. The dark side of your mind isn't here to soothe you. It's here to change how you move.